Mr. President, thank you for convening this meeting. I want to extend my appreciation to Mr. Thor Wensland and especially to Dr. Louisa Baxter from Save the Children for their critical insight. To Dr. Baxter, I want to say that we admire your dedication and courage. Your work shows the real face of humanity, that humanity that should guide all of us and guide our debate and action. As highlighted by the briefer, the situation in Gaza is dire, with no progress nearly 11 months after the Israeli occupying power launched their brutal operation of punishment against defenseless Palestinian civilians. We are still counting the death. Over 40,000, and we are still counting the injured, over 90,000. And these figures may rise rapidly, not only due to the deteriorating situation in the region, but also to the imminent risk of diseases outbreaks, with a collapsed health system in Gaza due to the Israeli forces' deliberate targeting of hospitals and medical personnel. In this context, the spread of polio is a looming threat. Today, 20 out of 36 hospitals in Gaza are out of service, making an effective response to this threat almost impossible. Despite these challenges, the international humanitarian community stands ready to help with the full-fledged vaccination campaign. However, we cannot envision any vaccination campaign under continuous Israeli bombardment. We are all aware that the so-called deconfliction mechanism is simply a fiction in Gaza. We need a real cessation of hostilities to ensure the success of this campaign. And we echo WHO and UNICEF calls for a humanitarian pause to allow for a thorough campaign of vaccination. Mr. President, today, the barbaric Israeli occupation continues in total impunity. It continues its policy of killing Palestinians and making Gaza a nightmare, making Gaza an unlivable place for Palestinians. And the situation is catastrophic, and it worsens on a daily basis, and there is no sign of hope. For months, we have been told that we are close to securing a deal, putting an end to the massacre of the Palestinian civilian. Unfortunately, nothing happened. And while we continue our support to the effort of the mediators, Qatar, Egypt, and the United States to reach a deal. But rapidly. Unfortunately, the reality is clear for everyone. The Israeli occupying power continue to ignore international calls, including Security Council decision, including ICJ order. And while the Middle East is facing the risk of a broader conflict, we firmly believe that a permanent ceasefire in Gaza is the only path to avoiding further escalation in the region. Algeria demands the immediate and effective implementation of Security Council resolutions, including Resolution 2735. This resolution is clear. It guarantees a permanent end of hostilities. It guarantees a full withdrawal of Israeli occupying forces from Gaza. And it guarantees the liberation and the return of all prisoners to their homes. This resolution must be implemented now. Mr. President, the occupying Israeli authorities are determined to crush any hope for an independent Palestinian state with Al-Quds Sharif as its capital. They deny the establishment of Palestinian state. They annex Palestinian lands. They expand settlement. And frequently, they storm Al-Aqsa Mosque. They unleash settlers terrorists in the West Bank, while they loot and kill Palestinians in total impunity. I want to warn that the risk of Gaza's tragedy may duplicate in the West Bank. The international community cannot remain silent. And to conclude, Mr. President, it's time to end the carnage in Gaza. It's time to close this dark chapter in the history of the Middle East. Dark chapter also of the history of the international community and of the Security Council. I thank you.